If you were to compete today, would you say you'd be in the classic division?
To me is resting and being lazy.
The sport got to the point of being extreme.
You want to drink water, you can drink as much as you want when we're done.
Almost like a hazing to a degree, right?
I mean, seriously, what do you go to the gym for?
When you used to compete, there was only two divisions, right? It was men's and women's, or were there more?
Two division, yes. Well, they had two weight classes in the 70s because Arnold would win, the big class, and Franco wins the other class, and Robbie the same. So, yeah, it was just two classes, and the women was totally separate. The women thing was a late coming on because 1980 when that really started.
Right.
We had gone through the 70s already.
But now you have classic physique, you have men's physique, you have 212, and you have a bunch of women divisions. What do you think about that? Do you like that? In fact, there's many divisions?
I think it's great because it gives the competitors a lot of options. They want to do the classic physique, which I care about most, and the girls got the bikini class and then fitness class. I think you need variety. You need that.
If you were to compete today, would you say you'd be in the classic division, or you still would go for the men's open?
Classic physique, yes. Because you have to create a routine. You have to perform. So you do 5 mandatory, we had to do 7, and then you have to create a routine and something that's original. I see these guys that copying this. I go, I know who that is. I know who pose they stole that from. Sitting there, go, okay. And then when he doesn't hit the pose correct, okay, he didn't do that right. Didn't have the foot right, didn't have the head right, didn't have the hips right. Okay. I see every little detail.
What do you think about women's bodybuilding and kind of its evolution over the years?
Yes. I mean, it started in the 80s, and the girls like Lisa Lyon, and she was the first female bodybuilder. Her and I worked together. We first male, female on stage flexing muscles together.
That's pretty cool.
It was unheard of. I mean, the crowd was dead silent, like, what the hell's going on here? Because women wasn't really into the sport at all. But she opened the door. She kicked the door in and says, we're going to be on stage and we're going to work out at your gym,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great. The women, size-wise, once again, I'm not with the size thing. So it's that's their preference. They brought it back. It left for a while, and then the judges and then the fans wanted it back, so they brought it back. So it's all what people want to see, and I prefer the Rachel McLish style. Cut, shape, presentation. Linda Murray, yes.
Sure.
But again, we're talking about, and I agree with you actually, those are great examples. And we're talking about appealing physiques, right? They look great. But again, as evolution of the sport, the size and the muscle became part of the sport, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like the sport got to the point of, being extreme to a degree, you know what I mean?
Right. But you can't turn back because the guy's got all this size now. How do you turn back? You can't. So the classic physique is kind of helping out.
Yeah.
And I think people in middle America would like to watch classic physique because a guy who's 14, 15 years old go, hey, I think I can look like that guy. You know what I mean? I said the same thing when I went to California for the first time. I walked to Gold's Gym. I sat in the corner watching the guys work out. It was Manny Perry, Robbie, Zane. The list, they're always there that day. And I sat in that corner, I watched them go, man, if I train hard enough, I think I can look like these guys. Bodybuilders today, they don't research who came before them. Because without us, judo wouldn't exist. There is no bodybuilding.
Yeah.
We laid the foundation.
Tony was magic on 2 feet. The things he did with his body was just magic.
He was flowing like a dancer with big muscle.
Somebody, I guess, mentioned to Tony that he looked a little like Michael Jackson. It was Michael Jackson with muscles.
That time they stare at you, it's...
Does that embarrass you to have people feel that way?
It's interesting you bring up Robbie Robinson a few times in this interview, right? Robbie Robinson, well, I'm actually working on a film that's about to come out on Robbie Robinson's life. It's very interesting. But he told me a story, kind of like the similarity is that you both arrived to California, right? Around,
Yes.
maybe not the same time, but around the same era, where it was like Joe Weider, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the California, you know, the golden era, right? Yes. He told me a story. He came to the Gold's Gym, and he approached, I think, Joe Weider, and he was like, "I'm here to train with you. I got a letter in the mail, you know, being invited here," and they all like laughed at him. And then he ended up sleeping on the roof of Gold's Gym for like a couple of months. And then he kind of got their respect eventually, right? And he started training with them and stuff like that. It's kind of like almost like a hazing to a degree, right? Like a hazing, and like they give him like the cold shoulder in the beginning. What was your experience like when you arrived? I know we spoke about it before. Did you feel like they giving you a cold shoulder in the beginning? You had to kind of prove yourself?
Yeah, when I got to LA, you know, had no title. I was skinny once again. And I made my way to Gold's Gym. I'm training every day. And, you know, the pros were, what I noticed was, I'm very intuitive. Those guys were training like machines. They were dead serious. There was nothing to be joking about, talking about. And I saw every day I watch them every day. And man, these guys are real, serious stuff. So, yeah, I got the cold shoulders. Oh, yeah, because you got to prove yourself to them. You know, you can't say, oh, who was this kid? There's nobody. And, you know, and I think that's why Rob was training so hard. Now I know. I mean, this guy would destroy you. I mean, come on, Bill Grant, Robbie, Mike Mincer, all these guys. I mean, just serious about it. It was like going to a job. You clock in, you do your work, keep your mouth shut, and you go home, come back and do it the same thing in the afternoon, twice a day training. Yeah, I got the cold shoulders for a while, and then I won the Mr. America. And I'll tell you what happened. I won the America, and the whole gym turned cold on me. I mean, I got the ice then when I came back. I was 21 years old, naive from the deep South, never, you know, had broke, starving, the whole thing. So I was at the gym one day and I was not training hard enough, I guess. Then I heard this voice behind me. He goes, "Get to work, doing this." And he turned and walked away. So I turned around, that was Robbie walking away. So that was the door opening for me. I put my foot in the door, and you know, and he started helping me. And that became my training partner. We trained together for a long time. And I love training with Robbie because we really was toe to toe. He goes, you know, he said, "You're the best trainer I've had because you don't quit. There is no quit." So yeah, that's what happened. I mean, Gold's Gym was very serious. It wasn't some place to go to hang out. You go to work. And Robbie, like you said, was sleeping on the rooftop. He needed the money. He had a wife at home. I was sleeping behind a church. I was trying to eat, trying to get my next meal. So that makes you work. That's what pushes you, because you need a title. No title, no work. So I had just won the American. Robbie gave him that little speech, and then I turned up the heat. And then I started training with him. So yeah, the gym was like that. You know, it was like a men's club back in those days. There was very few women in the gym because women would come in and sit on the bench and watch their boyfriend work out. That was the extent of it. No one was training. This is bodybuilding. This is real men training.
Right.
So that Lisa changed all that. So give her credit.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned, you know, the next meal. I mean, back then, I know you, in the beginning of your career, you obviously were struggling, right, financially. You came to California.
Behind a church, yeah, you're starving.
It was exactly starving, right? So what was your bodybuilding diet like at that time? And how were you able to actually maintain it? You know, you needed to grow, obviously, right? What were you eating?
Yeah, I just got to blame it on God and genetics, because I was getting 1 meal a day, and I was still
1 meal a day,
300, 400 pounds. I was strong. If you read what Arnold wrote in his book, this guy was killing his legs, 100-degree weather, out in the weight pit on Muscle Beach, every day working out. But I wasn't eating. 1 meal. I was having tuna fish, coffee, and water, or chips, anything that was really cheap, just to get anything in your system. But I was still training. I can't explain it.
So you were a bodybuilder eating tuna and potato chips and once a day.
Yes.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
People now eat whatever 7 times a day. You know what I mean? Big meals, rice and chicken.
Yes, but even as once I had a few dollars in my pocket, I'm not a big eater. I never ate a lot. I didn't eat a lot. So train a lot, train twice a day, but I didn't eat a lot at all. I'm not a big eater. You know, chicken breast, that's 2 meals for me. You know, this guy eat 4 or 5 chicken breasts in one sitting. One chicken breast I cut in half, that's 2 meals. Put a little rice with it or some yam. That's it.
That's incredible, man.
I don't eat a lot, even now. Very little, very little. But I still grew. I still have muscles.
What was your diet like in a peak of your career? I mean, you had to adjust it a little bit, right?
Yeah, I was having protein shakes, which I stopped maybe 15 years ago. I don't have protein shakes anymore. I would have a lot of chicken. It was chicken, egg whites, the basic, and sometimes white rice, brown rice, yams. Very limited. I mean, you eat the same thing all the time. Mm-hmm. And then you had your veggies, the salads, and broccoli. A little bit of fruit, more apples. And that's what you ate three times or 4 times a day.
Wow, that's incredible.
I was never a big eater, but I grew. But, because we trained so hard, so intense. Mm-hmm. I look back, it's funny how your mind blocked that stuff out. Because I destroyed my body. At the end, after 20 years, I was done. I was crippled. I put everything. So yeah, you train so hard. It's crazy.
How much time per day did you spend in the gym?
Well, training with Robbie, you train an hour and 10 minutes, and you're training on the clock. So if you're deadlifting 500 pounds, he's watching the clock. You're curling. This is what we would do. We take a 100-pound barbell. You do it 12 times and hand it to me. I do it 12 times and hand it back. So it never touch the floor. So how much rest are you getting?
Very little.
That's the part that kills you. It's the rest part. You're gasping for breath. You're on one knee because the minute he puts it down, you got to pick it up. So that's it. There's nothing to talk. No one's talking. And then one day I felt like I just started training with him. I needed some water. He says, "Oh, you want to drink water? You can drink as much as you want when we're done." So now you can't drink water.
Wow.
And you can't talk. There's nothing to talk about. I question these guys at the gym. What are you talking about? You come to the gym to work out. You want a conversation? Call me later. I mean, seriously, what do you go to the gym for? It's like a box in the middle of the ring. You're going to start talking between rounds. No, you're there to work.
Right. What about cardio? Did you do a lot of cardio when you used to compete?
No, but if you train twice a day, and you're not eating very much, you get and have very fast metabolism, very cut, very shredded all the time. So you train twice a day. That's your cardio. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're squatting, deadlifting, T-bar, doing pull-ups, lunging, leg pressing for 1 hour nonstop, an hour and 10 minutes, and you come back in the afternoon, you do that 6 days a week, the whole year. There's no off season. There's no bulking season. Bulking season to me is resting and being lazy, because you put on 30 pounds, 25 pounds of muscle. And then before the show, you lose 25 pounds of muscle. So the idea in those days, build the weak body parts, work on your calves, work the outside delt, bring your pecs up a little bit more, do this a little bit more. And then you're going to look 10 pounds heavier. So you didn't fluctuate in your weight going up and down.
How many times a year did you used to, when you were a pro, how many times did you compete a year?
I was in all the Grand Prix. Like every couple of months, there was a show. There was a show or an exhibition somewhere in the world. And I would always go to the exhibitions saying, I don't want the competitors to look better than I do, mm-hmm. or disappoint the promoter. So I would go in contest shape, because, you only had the magazines in those days. There's no internet. So they see you in the magazine. Then you show up. If you show up fat, that's not good. I show up just like you saw me in the magazine. So you took it very seriously. It was a full-time job. And the bodybuilding world is small, still is.
Sure.
Because one promoter calls the next promoter, how did he look? They're going to go, he was good, he's fantastic, or he was out of shape. So you don't get that work. You don't get work anymore. So it's...
Today's top pros, basically, they compete, I would say a majority of them twice a year. Once to qualify for the Olympia, and then at the Olympia or the Arnold Classic, right? Typically, that's how it goes. Back then, it was way more, for sure.
Yeah, you compete like every 2 or 3 months. There was a show back in those days. But the guys today, they're trying to gain more size, so they need more time.
Right.
I think for us, it was more just staying in shape, or bring up your weak body parts. And a quick story, I was in Germany hanging out, training at a gym over there, and I had a manager. And one day he walks out, stopped my workout. He threw a couple of pictures on the table and he goes, "It's Bob Harris picture." He goes, what's wrong with that picture? No, nothing. I look good. He goes, "Look at his delts." I go, okay. So I had a lot of people around me going, "You need to work this, 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 this. Bring it up." Because on stage, as a smaller guy, you have to be almost flawless. All the bells are full, everything's in place, to be able to win. If you're going to beat the big guy, you got to have something really special.
Let's talk about the diuretics.
That's how you get that look.
When you retired, is it true that you focused a lot on training different people?
Some of these guys, they look good, but look a bit soft.
That's kind of like the general stigma on today's bodybuilding.
But I enjoyed every second of it.